It is indeed Tigs Tonight. What's going on? Tigs Wigs Nation, Tigs Bits Nation, Tigs Bits Nation, whatever. Good to see y'all. Look, this is the only show where we'll briefly mourn Val Kilmer, celebrate National Burrito Day, which is today, by the way, and still find a little bit of time to yell about baseball bats that are shaped like freaking torpedoes. That's right. We got a little bit of everything tonight, as in the name, Tigs Bits, a little bit of everything. It's a full buffet. It's what it is. We come to eat. And yes, the egg prices have finally dropped so you can afford breakfast again, which is great. It's always great. Tommy Boy, one of my favorite movies of all time, if not my favorite movie of all time. We will break that down on another day, but it turned 30 years old this week. Kind of makes me feel both nostalgic and maybe a little bit attacked because it was 30 years ago. Holy cow. Tool fans, speaking of 30 years ago, Tool, which I still love Tool, their latest album, last album that came out, fantastic. But Tool fans are still arguing about that concert meltdown a few weeks ago. I don't know if y'all saw that, but yeah, pretty crazy. We're going to talk about that for a minute. And, of course, tornadoes are wrecking the South and the Midwest and all throughout the country right now. Wild weather. It's spring, baby. It's spring. That is what happens. And, of course, this weekend, Final Four weekend is here. And the bracket went chalk. All number one seeds are in the Final Four. Wonder who predicted that. I don't know. It's not a hard limb to go out on, really. Is it if they're all number one seeds at all? And look, we've had a big week behind the scenes as well, and more on that later. But before we jump into it tonight, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Before we jumped in, I saw Big E had already dropped that. Appreciate you, brother. Y'all don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Share this show with a friend. Share it on your socials. Hey, if you want to help us even more, send our YouTube channel, text it to somebody, or wherever you're watching or listening to this, whatever you consume our little show on, share it with them. See if we can't keep growing this and have a little bit of fun. Boys, ladies, gentlemen, let me jump into the chat, see who we have in here tonight. I knew Big E was in here. Like he said, hit that thumbs up button, please, please. Brian Gilson is here with us tonight. What's up, Brian? What is up, Brian? The Fat Pig. What's happening, Fat Pig? Appreciate you, my man. Appreciate you, my man. Inbound Realty. What's going on, brother? What is happening? What's happening? Of course, we got Paul Rogers in the house. Brother Paul. Over the line, what's going on? Andrew, John Bird, the gang, man. I did finally get to catch up on, God, I can't even remember which episode it was. I'm not sure which episode it would be for y'all, but I think y'all recorded it a couple weeks ago. It was a Bubba show. Fantastic, as always. Always laugh. What a show. I know a bunch of you guys have been checking them out on the Bubba Army exclusive. Continue to do that. It's a great show. Very honored to have them as podcast brethren, if you will. What a show. What a show. Ladies and gentlemen, it would not be a night if we did not have Mr. John Costaca! Oh, yeah! Getting a good one tonight, Johnny boy. I'm feeling frisky. I said it. Terry Wayne, what's up, my brother? Congratulations. When you said it in the chat the other day, I thought I saw you had said something about being retired or you were retiring, and somehow or another you and I haven't talked about that. We probably have. I have so much going through my head. It probably just went, poof, flew right past it. But congratulations on the retirement. And, man, it's great news. And thank you so much for trying to help us get that going Nick the Gun Guy. And Terry knows what I'm talking about. Nick the Gun Guy. What's up, man? LFG. Ain't no doubt about it, everybody. Oh, yeah, Miss Stacy. Everybody loves Tigs Bits, and everybody loves Miss Stacy G. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Good to have you in here, Miss Stacy. Yeah. Andrew's pulling for the Albies. We're going to get into that. For sure. Look, appreciate all y'all being in here. Mr. Bob Cook supports that over the line, and of course he supports Tigs Bits, and we appreciate you, Mr. Bob Cook. No doubt. What's funny is I knew a guy, little story here, named Bob Cook. Great man, just an absolute pillar of the community, fantastic man, deacon in the church, little town that I'm from. A lot of y'all have heard me talk about Florine. Mr. Bob Cook was, what a man, just a great guy, just a funny, nice man, just a good dude. Good dude. So I know that Bob Cook, every time I see Bob Cook, I think of Mr. Bob, his wife, Miss Nellie. They've gone on, but great name, great guy, for sure. Look, let's jump into it a little bit. I put a poll out on the socials this week of what kind of content do you want to see on our channel or see us focus a little bit more on? And overwhelmingly, once I added the numbers up everywhere, the stories, all that stuff, overwhelmingly 50%, I think it's like 48% of the vote was for food. Food won out. I kind of expected that, honestly. I really did. Reason being, a lot of our videos that we've done that were food related have done a lot better than some of our other stuff, frankly. So I wasn't shocked. And of course, we talk a lot about food. We're in the food space. Kind of figured food would win out. And it did. But votes for everything. Of course, I had food, music, and music news, trending topics, culture, and sports. And then do you just want to keep having everything? Well, several votes for all of it, but overwhelmingly food. Sports was a little bit higher than I thought, which is great because, I mean, I used to have a radio show, a sports talk radio show. Why wouldn't we talk a little bit more about sports? So we're kind of starting to dial things in. I don't know the exact direction that we're going to row this boat in, but tonight we're talking about all of it. There's a little bit of everything. Like I said, there's a buffet of it, so hopefully you guys will enjoy. I know you will. I will. I'll enjoy talking about it. So anyhow, happy National Burrito Day. Who knew? Of course, there's all kinds of crazy things that exist these days out there. You never know what kind of day it's going to be. But I have some, you ready for it? Are you ready for it? Some beefy burrito facts for you with a little extra guac, if you will. Here's some fun facts for National Burrito Day. The word burrito means little donkey in Spanish. Little donkey. Little donkey. Who knew little donkey? Why, no one really knows for sure, but that there is a theory that it's because burritos carried a bunch of stuff. You can pack it into a burrito just like a donkey does. Burritos are not truly authentic Mexican food. Now, I think most of us know that, realize that. They're more of a Tex-Mex invention. And in most parts of Mexico, burritos are way, way simpler. They're misshaped and everything. If you've not ever had authentic, like real deal Mexican food, holy cow. You talk about a dude who butchers these South Louisiana words that are a little more French and things like that. Yeah, the Spanish things and the Spanish dishes, good Lord, I can't even do it, but I can eat them. That I'm good at, and I've had some amazing stuff, especially over in Houston and in Texas. I mean, it just gets ridiculous over there. But the world's largest burrito weighed over 12,000 pounds. 12,000 pounds. That's a hell of a burrito. That is a hell of a burrito. It was made in Mexico in 2010, and it stretched over 2 miles long. That's a whole damn parade route. is what that is. That's a parade route. Crazy. What a burrito. That's a big burrito. Who knew? Who knew? Breakfast burritos allegedly were invented in New Mexico. Who knew? Blake's Lotta Burger. Shout out to Lotta Burger, not to be confused with Whataburger. But Blake's Lotta Burger claims to have first put eggs, cheese, and sausage in a tortilla back in the 1970s. And I don't know if they did or not, but I can tell you one thing. Whataburger has fantastic sausage burritos or breakfast burritos. One of my favorites. Made me gain about 50 pounds whenever I lived in Florida because I'd go make a little run to the damn Whataburger every morning for the gang, for the office, and I never minded volunteering to leave the office for 30 minutes or so to go make that round trip. But Lord, I'd sit there and eat like 4 or 5 of those things for breakfast and then eat a big lunch. I wonder what happened. Didn't move a lot. I don't know. Burritos became popular in the United States thanks to frozen food. That big craze that happened back in the 60s and microwave dinners and all that stuff. The first frozen burrito hit the grocery stores in 1964. Interesting, huh? That's kind of crazy. Chipotle sells over 800,000 burritos a day, and today was a huge day for them. That's what got this all started. I saw an ad, and I saw that it was National Burrito Day. Why not share it? So hopefully some of you guys and ladies got to have a little burrito today. Nothing crazy, but yeah. Brian says you'd need a damn semi to haul that burrito. There ain't no doubt it's a monstrous burrito. I didn't have enough time before we hit the air to pull it up and validate this and see a picture of it. You know that there has to be a picture of that somewhere out there. Has to be. Just flat out has to be. And of course, there's even a burrito emoji, but it was hotly contested, which I found that interesting. I don't really remember it, but taco lovers tried to stop it, apparently. Burrito versus Taco Wars even made it to the Unicode Consortium, which I'm like, what the hell is the Unicode Consortium? It's a nonprofit organization that basically makes sure text and emojis work the same everywhere across different devices, apps, and platforms. And I mean, that's a big deal. I post a lot of stuff on multiple devices, honestly, and it all works. Emojis do work whenever you use them. I got to use more emojis, or maybe I don't. I think I'm too old for a lot of emojis. I just think I'm too old. I don't know. What do y'all think? But anyhow, happy National Burrito Day. Happy National Burrito Day. I got to keep this throat dry or a little liquidated, gang. Bear with me. I don't want to lose my voice. I've been talking nonstop for the last 3 weeks. And by the end of the day, by about this time at night, I've been spent. Not going to lie, but I think I can make it. I feel frisky tonight. Feel good. Just got to keep a little bit of that cold liquid on that throat. Gang, I don't know if y'all, how many of y'all are Tool fans, love the band Tool, and we're not going to do a deep dive on Tool tonight at all. But I don't know how much y'all have seen about this, but basically Tool had done a show. They scheduled this event. It was their first ever destination festival called Tool Live in the Sand, and it was in the Dominican Republic. And a lot of bands these days do this, like my band 311. You know, they just came back. They were on a 311 cruise. Others do that. And a lot of bands do cruises, or they do destinations. Widespread Panic goes to Mexico. They do a couple of nights. They do stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. Destination venue. You're going to see your favorite band for a couple of nights. They have other bands there playing with them. So it's like a 3-day event. Tool headlining 2 nights, supported by acts like Primus and Mastodon and Coheed and Cambria. And I may have talked about this a little bit on a show before, but I don't think I dove too deep in it. But the band marketed this entire event with 2 unique sets for their Friday and their Saturday performance, setting up high expectations for all the fans that shelled out big bucks. And now I have numbers. I know we talked about this a little bit, but the packages started around $2,500 to $6,000 per person, including travel and lodging and all the all-inclusive perks that come on with being at an event like that. And on night 1, Tool played a 10-song set with a lot of their fan favorites and all of that. And then on night 2, they played a 9-song set, repeating 4 of the songs from the previous night. Now, everybody here's captive. They're on this island. I'm a Tool guy, but you got to know a little bit about what you're getting into with Maynard James Keenan. You got to know what's happening with that dude. And, I mean, it could have all been a work, but that's a terrible work. I would have been so pissed if I had gone to this and spent all this money and honestly didn't know about it. But that is a dream trip for a Tool fan. I've probably seen Tool like seven or 8 times. Never the same show. Always interesting and love it. But on night 2, this is their own fans who have paid a ton of money to be there. They're yelling F you and flipping off the band at the end of the night. And people are talking about how big of a letdown it was. And people are still mad. Like, this is still rolling on social media. Not like it was, of course, but it's still freaking going. So it's still fresh on everybody's mind. And, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys love Tool, but it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, Big E says music festivals on the sea are great. They are great. I've never been on one. I haven't been on the 311 cruise yet. Eventually I may go. I don't know. It seems like fun. It seems like a bonkers experience and could be fun. Paul has not heard of Tool. I'm going to tell you something about Tool right now, Paul. I know you. We've gotten to know each other through social media and all. I'm not 100% sure you'd love Tool, but if you love heavy shit, then you'd love Tool. Tool's heavy. They definitely explore the space, and they're unique. There is no other band. There literally is no other band like them. There really, really isn't. Yeah, Inbound really never understood Tool. Super weird band. There you go. I mean, they're weird. There is no doubt. There's no doubt they're weird. Big E, they're very talented, for sure. And the Fat Pig says that, Paul, if you haven't heard of Tool, you're a Tool. He's joking, but that's hilarious, and it always is fun. I used to have a Tool hat that I wear. I mean, Tool is Tool. So, I mean, I think you get what you pay for whenever you go to see Tool. You just, like, Sober is their biggest hit that they have ever had commercially on the radio anyhow. And, they're just kind of like, we're not going to play it ever. We'll never play our biggest hit. And they don't. I've seen them all the times that I've seen them play, at least seven, maybe 8. I've seen them play Sober one time, and it was the first time I saw them early, like in 2000, 2001, something like that. But, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Paul likes Rush and AC/DC. I mean, there's a little bit of some Rush influence in something. Check them out. Check out Tool. Doesn't matter where you start. Just roll. You may like them. Yeah, Big E says that the Grateful Dead rarely played Touch of Grey. For sure. Yeah, I mean, you get tired of it, I would think. And who knew? It's like, this song just became a hit. Who thought it would really become a hit? Who thought it'd become a hit? Like I alluded to at the top of the show, Tommy Boy has turned 30 freaking years old this year. That's crazy. And I saw that a couple of days ago, and I was reminded of it today. I'm working, and a friend of mine, Nicole, she put on her jacket, and she just said, "Fat girl in a little coat." It just made me laugh. She is far from a fat girl by all means, but it reminded me that this all happened this week. And I said it, I posted it on Twitter the other day. There is not a single day that goes by that I don't have some quote from that movie. Here's a few of my favorites. Of course, fat guy in a little coat. But one of my, I say these all the freaking time. Like I go to eat some wings at Wingstop or wherever. Tommy won't wingy. Tommy won't wingy. And the housekeeping. You want me fluff pillow? Just, that's going to leave a mark. All that. It's just so many notable, amazing quotes that come from that movie. And if you haven't really, I know a lot of you've seen Tommy Boy, Paul Rogers. I don't know if you've seen it. Housekeeping, Stacy says. You need mint for pillow? It just all day long. Tommy Boy for forever. But I've told y'all a little bit before, and in fact, the whole reason why we ever got picked up by Bubba and all of that is because one night Blasey and I were recording. JR wasn't able to make it. We made a switch. Y'all heard this story a million times, but we made a switch, and we did a show called A Podcast About Podcasts and went down our favorite podcasts. And one of my favorites is called Fly on the Wall, and now also Superfly, with David Spade and Dana Carvey. And just this week, because of all that, there is a special episode. So if you like Tommy Boy and you want some inside baseball on that, I heard things that I'd never heard before on this most recent podcast that they did. And it just way insightful, like just a lot more. Been waiting 30 years to hear it. So, of course, you get to hear Spade's side of the story and all of that. But I wanted y'all to see this. This is a great little minute-long clip with Peter Segal, which I think he produced the movie, if I remember right. I'm terrible with names. But let's look at this. This is awesome. I want y'all to see this. Let's see.
I just don't think we've seen another Chris Farley. He's just a singularity in comedy. He's something unique about him that is sort of irreplaceable right now.
I bumped into Paul Walter Hauser, who's going to be playing Chris.
Oh,
The Chris Farley story. And I said, look, if you ever want to grab a lunch, I'll tell you stories. So that's going to be.
Oh, we definitely should. I talked to him at one of my shows. He came and we talked about it. Good luck to you. The guy's a good actor. So
yeah.
Chris had that throaty, I'm just, that thing, that
a hot cup, a jerk squat.
I says. I go, you're making that a full update bit? He goes, oh, yeah.
Says to him, I says to the guy, I says to him.
He goes, I says to the guy. I says right to him. I says. And that's his whole bit. I go, a fucking full update? He's like, yep. And it's going to kill. And then it did.
Freaking Farley, man. Freaking Farley. I mean, what a legend. What a absolute legend. Brian Farley was funny as hell, no doubt. I mean, look, he's right there on the wall. That's my man. Ain't no doubt about it. He was comedy gold, Terry Wayne says, for sure. For sure. Big E. Farley was great. It is a quotable movie. One of the most quotable movies, I would say, maybe of all time, really and truly. Big E. And probably my favorite line in the movie, I can get a good look at a T-bone steak by sticking my head up a bull's ass, but I'd rather take the butcher's word for it. I love it whenever he messed it all up. And wait, it's got to be your bull. That's just the best. It's just the best. They have a thin candy shell. I'm surprised you didn't know that. I love it. I love it, man. So in that biopic or biopic, whatever the hell they're called, that man, that looks good. That's gonna be fun. That guy's a good actor. Hopefully he takes Spade up on some of that stuff and and listens to him because nobody knows Farley better than Spade. Even Dana Carvey was there too. Just all those guys that really knew him. And I'm sure that's a great actor that's playing that. So I it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Moving on into some, while we're staying in entertainment, I talked about it at the top of the show. Val Kilmer died. One thing I found interesting, we'll talk about. We'll run down. I've got a list of some of his movies. While I'm doing this, you guys give me chat. Let me know what some of y'all's favorite movies of Val Kilmer's were as well. But I found this funny, not funny, but interesting. In Top Gun, and I started thinking, this is true. It's totally true. In Top Gun, which really is what he was making movies and doing some stuff, but when he hit Top Gun and he was freaking Iceman, that's what took Val Kilmer to that complete next level of doing stuff. He was only in scenes that combined through that whole movie for 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. That's all he was in. That was one heck of a powerful 10 minutes, man. I mean, he stole the show, I guess, really, in a sense. Every girl wanted to be with him, and every guy wanted to be him. You know what I mean? Like, he was the man. He was Ice Man. Cool dude. And then, then in coming back in Top Gun 2, whatever the hell it's called. I like to call it Top Gun 2. Unbelievable. Just a great actor, man. A great actor. Of course, some of the notable movies. Tombstone, I'm Your Huckleberry. I mean, that's a pretty tough one to beat right there. That line, that movie. And for me, I'm going to have to probably say that is my favorite Val Kilmer movie. But so many great ones. Of course, The Doors. He playing Jim Morrison. He became Morrison himself doing that and filming that. He sang all the songs. Looked just like him. It was eerie. It was eerie. Method acting at its peak, which is what I hope comes with the Chris Farley movie. I hope that that guy really embraces the complex character that Chris Farley is and was. And I got a feeling that he will. Of course, Top Gun, we talked about that. Heat was a fantastic movie. Standing toe-to-toe with Pacino and De Niro. I mean, that was a freaking banger. That was a banger. Yeah, Terry Foster. Tombstone. Tombstone is the bar. My man, Fontaine. WSMFP. Widespread mother freaking panic. What's up? Real genius. Which is crazy. He goes from, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but he goes Real Genius and then Top Gun, like bam, bam, and talk about boom. What an ascent. What an ascent. Common Johnny. I don't think I've ever seen that, actually. I don't think I've ever seen that. Why Johnny Taylor looks like somebody just walked over your grave. I love it. I love it, man. Willow. He was in Willow. I forgot about that movie. Of course, he was in Batman Forever. He was Bruce Wayne. I think he had an underrated take on the character, honestly. He had the face chiseledness, the mouth, I like Michael Keaton as a Batman, too. I think he looks good in the mask, the voice. And, of course, you got to have the voice. I like those guys better than Ben Affleck. I don't think that's a real crazy thing to say at all. The Saint was an interesting movie. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, remember that one with Robert Downey Jr. It was snarky and tough, kind of funny. It was all right. It was kind of funny, but yeah, I mean, Val Kilmer, what a great actor. Yeah, Maverick, that was it. Top Gun Maverick, of course, his cameo in there was emotional. Once again, not in it for very long, but kind of stole the show, even though he couldn't talk. Even post cancer though, he's one of the first actors where they were able to use a little bit of AI to kind of help with his voice too, which is wild, which is a wild thing, all the quotes that are coming in, it's just so good. It's so good. He was in the remake of Bad Lieutenant when he was fat. It was actually very good. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that. See, I mean that's it's kind of sad that you get to this point. Maybe I guess is this middle age gang? Is that I want to think all of y'all are way younger than me, like the people that I've been talking to on my day to day lately. That's what I want to hope. But I think most of you are about my age, and we're all right there. And is this what happens now? Is this what we do? Like the guys that we knew, loved, guys and ladies and gals, they go on, they cross that rainbow bridge on to better places. And here we are stuck with the memories and talking about it. Meanwhile, the rest of the world just keeps on moving on. And these guys and gals that are younger than us have no clue about half of the shit that we're talking about tonight. And nor do they care. But it's everything that shaped the world to be. Okay, I'm just going off in a tangent here. But, I mean, it's sad to see some of these people that you thought were ageless, even though you knew he was sick and I was going downhill and all that. Tough to see the Iceman go down. Just tough to see the Iceman go down. But I'll tell you what's not going down. Let's turn our attention to sports, gang. Time to go to a little sports. What do y'all know about and what do y'all think about the Torpedo bat? Y'all seen this? It's crazy. It's crazy. It's a bat, baseball bat. Of course, it's made out of wood. It looks like a bowling pin. It's a new baseball bat design that redistributes the weight differently from a traditional bat. So instead of having all the bulk of the weight at the end of the barrel, it shifts the mass more to the middle, the sweet spot. So it makes that sweet spot a little bit more in the middle. It's about 6 or 7 inches down from the tip, which is where players generally make contact. So, I mean, it just creates a much bigger sweet spot. Frankly, I don't know why they haven't been doing this before, but I looked it up. I'm like, well, what's the origin of this? Is this legal? Obviously, it has to be legal. The Yankees are doing it, so it's got to be legal. So let's look at it. The origin, it was developed by Aaron Leanhart, an MIT-educated physicist who worked as a hitting coordinator for the New York Yankees before joining the Miami Marlins as a field coordinator. This cat's smart. No doubt about it. So this idea all stemmed from player feedback in 2023 about wanting better contact against dominating pitching. And that is a shift that has happened. I don't know how many of you guys are MLB fans, and it's so early in the season, it's hard to know really what's going to happen and who's really, really good. But the usual suspects, I suspect, by August are going to start to show. It's just an interesting thing here in the feedback and all the home runs that are being hit now and all of that stuff. So it's wild. I don't know if y'all love baseball like I do, but the pitching is extremely dominant right now. One of them, Paul Skeens, my man from LSU, locking it down. But there's a lot of other pitchers. They're chunking it harder these days. I heard something else, that these radar guns are off. Something in all of these stories and something I've read, that these radar guns are a little bit faster than they pitch, which would make sense because the baseball hasn't changed that much, or has it, to where the radar guns, that's a whole other deal. We'll go down that later in the season. But is this legal? Is this whole deal legal? And under MLB Rule 3.02, which requires a bat to be smooth, round stick, no more than 2.61 inches in diameter at the thickest part, and no longer than 42 inches, made of one piece of solid wood. The design has been approved by MLB and its 41 authorized bat manufacturers. So 100% legal, 100% legal. And I do know that I think I saw someone else was using it, another team. I'm sure other players are starting to use that. I don't think it's as big of a deal as steroids or anything like that. Well, I mean, it could probably. If you have steroids and you have that, then you got a deadly-ass combination. You're going to hit some home runs. You are a power hitter for sure. For sure. But, yeah, so what do y'all think about the bat? Yeah, Brian says it's legal, so let her rip. I think it's legal too. I think it's interesting. I think the MLB will take an approach like they generally do of, let's see what happens. Let's collect data. Let's see who's using it the most. And they're going to tweak all this and start figuring out. The game has so much data in it. Every pitch, everything, just analytics, all of the stuff. The analytics in MLB is flat out crazy. So different things, something to watch. Something to watch as Major League Baseball season starts to unfold. I don't really have a huge opinion on it beyond, it's something that's interesting. And no doubt the Yanks are just smoking the ball. They have a hell of a lineup. Of course they do. They always do. They look tough. Teams that are looking pretty tough at the beginning of the season, I think the Yanks are going to be making some noise. Not a Yankees guy. I'm a Braves fan and a Cubs fan over here. And I love the Astros, but I'm a Braves Cubs first. I know I got 3 teams, whatever. I don't care. We can have that conversation another night. Fontaine says that he just saw Panic in St. Augustine for 3 nights. Brother, I listened to all 3 nights in the studio, cranked up to 10 or 11, asked my neighbor. And, man, fantastic shows. They're sounding as good as ever. And then that little sandwich, that little squeeze of night 3. Night 3, all 3 nights were amazing, but night 3 is one of the best sets I've ever heard them do. You probably agree, Fontaine. Probably agree. So yeah, yeah. Somebody needs to give them to the Braves. Are they 0-6 at this point? Something like they haven't. They're going to be okay. They're going to be okay. Incredible shows, he says. They've evolved so much. They sound a little different too, Fontaine. Wouldn't you agree that they sound just, I don't know, fresher, a little brighter? They're jamming. They're letting Jimmy eat, and the fans have kind of backed off Jimmy. I'm a huge Jimmy fan, so we're talking a little widespread panic inside baseball chat. Don't worry, we're gonna move. We'll move on. But we could have a whole show, and we should probably do a whole show on Panic one night, Fontaine, for sure. Tornado outbreak is going on. Not going to dive too deep into this, but everybody stay safe. Last night was bonkers. I was watching Reed Timmer and Ryan Hall, y'all, and all of them, and there were PDSs, which is a particularly dangerous situation, the rarest of rare tornado threats that happen. That's a 5 out of 5 risk, and they happen. Supposed to be happening tonight, probably happening as I speak. I haven't had a chance to watch the weather, and they say I've been rolling, but there was some deaths, unfortunately, from this, and hopefully not anymore, but probably will be. But there are some major storms out there. Everybody, wherever you're at, stay safe, stay weather aware. Watch where you're at, see what's going on, and just flat make sure that you're paying attention to everything that is going on. All right, let's talk a little March Madness, gang. Let's talk a little March Madness, and we'll kind of start to wrap it up here. So while I'm kind of diving into it, chat, tell me who wins it all. Who you got? Florida versus Auburn. Who wins that one? Duke versus Houston. Who wins that one? And who wins the Natty? Y'all let me know in the chat. But this is going to be a fun one. I think, like I said at the top, Chalk ran the table. First time, only the second time. First time in, I think, since 79, something like that. I could be wrong. I think I heard that. But it's only the second time that's ever happened that you had Chalk run. So that's interesting. That is something that doesn't happen very often. But I'll be honest with you, these are the 4 best teams in college basketball, and I don't think it's even close. Florida surviving against Texas Tech. It looked bleak there in the closing minutes, but they held on. Auburn has looked fantastic throughout the deal. They looked great in their game the other night. Duke to me looks like the team to beat. They've looked pretty damn flawless really and truly. And Houston's, I mean, all four of these teams have looked incredible running through the field, running through the tournament. The Houston Cougars have looked fantastic as well with their defense. So let's talk a little about, we'll start with Duke. We'll start with the Duke game. It's a game of offense versus defense. Number one, the game has Duke's amazing high-powered offense with Cooper Flagg. That dude's unreal. He's fantastic. And then you've got Houston's damn shutdown defense, the top defense in the land. So we're going to see what happens. Can Houston stop Flagg? Can they limit him a little bit? You got a couple of good coaches, John Schreier, and then, of course, Kelvin Sampson, who's been winning for a long, long time. Man, I don't know. I mean, Duke's offense, super formidable, no doubt. Houston's defense, they can stop anybody. I think that's going to be the best game of the weekend, of the Final Four. It could be the best game of the tournament. I don't know. I hope the championship game is, but of course. But, man, Duke-Houston, that's a tough one. I think it's a pick 'em. I haven't looked at the lines, the betting lines, but I guarantee you it's not much. It's not much. So I don't know. I'm going to take Duke. I'm taking Duke. I really think that they've looked like the best team in the tournament, and I don't see them losing. We'll just see, man. I'm looking forward to that one. I'm really looking forward to that. Let's see what the chat has to say. Yeah, Big E says Houston. Houston looks like he's picking Houston. Fontaine is going with Auburn. I figured you would, brother. I figured you would. Paul Rogers is going with the Gators. I knew you would. Brian going with Florida men and the South Carolina women. Good point, Brian. I've been watching a little bit, of course, of the women's Sweet 16 and all that too. LSU got booted out. That's okay. They got beat by a great UCLA team, and UCLA looks super strong. I'm actually pulling for South Carolina too. I'm pulling for the Lady Gamecocks. I really am. I hope Dawn can take care of UCLA for sure. John Costeca, Duke versus Florida for the championship, with Duke winning, in his opinion. I can't say that is not something that wouldn't happen. I really, I kind of think that is something definitely that could happen. So let's talk a little bit about this Florida-Auburn matchup. I wish I had our boy Austin Dennis on here tonight. You know, Austin is going to be a dang nervous wreck for this one. He already is. Guarantee it. I've been talking to him. We've been texting. I don't text him during the game because, look, I'm one of those guys. Don't text me during my LSU game. And, like, not to talk trash or anything. Like, you can text me, but don't, let's not talk about the game unless it's going to be positive. And I don't mess with him. I'm not going to mess with him during game time, but I talked to him a little bit before. I know he's pre-gaming and getting there and getting ready, and I expect nothing less, especially on a Saturday. It's going to be fun. So all this coming to us from the Alamo Dome, Saturday at 6:09 Eastern, 5:09 Central, Florida and Auburn, and then the nightcap will be Duke and Houston. Florida enters this game on a 10-game winning streak. They're hot. And that 10-game winning streak includes a previous victory over Auburn at some point during this season, I think in the last 10 games. So they've definitely played. Florida won. I watched that game. I mean, we're going to see. We're going to see that. I said, number one, I wonder who picked Florida Auburn to make it to the Final Four. I don't know. Again, not a hard pick, but they both made it interesting to get there. Florida especially, but the way that Florida came back, the way they've turned it on, and it's almost like they can just turn that dial when they need to, crank it and rip and run. And they did it against Texas Tech. Now, Texas Tech imploded a bit, but that was due to pressure that Florida put on them too. And I mean, Florida looks really good. I'm worried about Auburn. I'm worried about Broom's status. Hurt his elbow towards in the second half of that game against Texas Tech, the last 10 minutes. And tell you what, he came back into the game ballsy. I disagreed with it. I know that the announcers, they were like, he wanted back into the game and all that, and I get the emotion. I don't know if he should have been back in the game. He scored, he made some stuff, and I guess ultimately maybe so. But if he ain't 100%, that's the thing to watch. That is going to be the thing to watch, because Auburn plays a style of basketball. They just do whatever they want. They just do whatever they want. They play street ball in a sense. Florida doesn't do that as much. So we're going to see which style is going to which style will win. I think Florida's going to win. I think they're going to win pulling away late in the game, and I'm going to ride with them. I picked Florida to win the whole thing at the very beginning. I'm not going to back away now. I'm going to be happy either way. The SEC will be represented in the national championship, so that's great for all of us, even though the two worst teams didn't even make the tournament, and one of them is mine. Whatever, they coming. We'll make the tournament next year. Mark my words. Mark my words. The LSU Tigers will be in the tournament this year. So, anyhow, I think Florida goes on. I think Duke in the Natty. And I guess I don't think we'll be live before the Natty happens. So I'm going to take the Florida Gators. Paul Rogers, I'm taking Florida. I'm sticking with my bets. Not making any changes. The Florida Gators will win the national championship for, I believe, their third time. I believe would be their third time. So I hope everybody enjoys it and has a lot of fun with it. Let's see. Okay, Big E says that the UConn women are going to win it all. And Fontaine Broom got hurt the other night. He's worried. That makes me a little bit worried too, man. That is the thing. Oh, some kids saw him in a sling. That's what I'm talking about. I don't think he needed to go back into the game. I really don't. I don't like him going back into the game. I just don't like it. I don't like it. Paul says, my man. Yes, sir. It's the only time I'm ever going to do this, Paul. Go Gators. All right. Let's wrap this up. By the way, if you're wondering what's been going on with the Tigs Bits show lately, our Bubba exclusive this week kind of pulls the curtain back big time. Like big time. JR's got a new project. Blasey's next move. What it means for this show. What it means for the whole everything. It's pretty big. I would say it's the biggest show that we've ever done in the history of this channel. I'd say that. And it's only going to be dropping on the Bubba Army exclusive. I'm assuming that probably will come out tomorrow or maybe Saturday. Y'all are going to want to check it out. So go to our socials. I'll be putting it out there too whenever it drops. You're not going to want to miss it. I promise you. It's juicy. Juicy to say the least. A lot of changes coming, boys. I'll leave y'all with that teaser. Y'all listen to Bubba, and we'll see you next week.
It's Tigs Tonight.